we're going to have a city without law and order. We're going to have a city where the commercial real estate market, and it starts in commercial real estate, residentials thereafter, is going to collapse, where the wealthy people that pay most of its taxes in the city are going to leave. This is going to be 1970s New York again. I have to tell you, I have a lot of Jewish friends, and these are some strong people, and I have never seen fear like I see now. It's really genuine and scary. Um, we can't have a person that
Now,
divides
an
us.
extremist from within
That's
their ranks
not New
is running for
York. It's
mayor.
certainly not
Zohran
America.
Mamdani.
The reality is New York City performs best when it's a unified city, when we don't separate people based on religion or creed or where they're from. New York has 172 different cultures. We need to come back to the center. We don't need this division, and certainly we don't need this hatred against the Jewish community. They do so much for the city, and we need to protect them. And if I'm mayor, that will absolutely happen.
Welcome to the Viktor Frankl podcast. I'm Lori Fein, here with co-host and founder of the podcast, Rabbi Daniel Schonbuch, and we are very excited to bring to you today our guest, Joseph Hernandez, who is running for the mayor of New York City. Welcome, Joseph.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate the invitation.
We're so excited to have you. So I wanted to start off asking a little about your background and the contrast with the front runner in this race, Mamdani. You both came to America at 7 years old, which is so interesting. You came as a child of poverty. Your father had been arrested and tortured, basically, it sounds like, by the Cuban government. And you come from a communist world where you really know the impact of socialism and communism can have on a person's life. He, on the other hand, comes from privilege, from money, and comes here to a capitalist country and decides, hey, let's turn it socialist. I'm wondering what you think about the contrast between your two campaigns and why you got into this race.
Well, thank you again, Laura. I think we couldn't be any more different. As you mentioned, I came to the U.S. at the age of 7. I was born in Cuba, a little town in Cuba called Camagüey. We come from a long line of physicians, and we owned businesses in Cuba. My dad's family owned a lot of businesses. Of course, that was contrary to the government there. They didn't like private enterprise. My uncles left in '59 when Fidel came into power. My dad stayed behind, thinking that it would be really transitional government. Little did he know that in 1979 or so, actually 1978, he was convicted of crimes against the state. So he was sentenced after a 2-minute trial to 7 years in hard labor prison in the north part of Cuba. And there he was incarcerated in a cell with 7 other inmates who are doing hard labor. And for some reason, they all got sick. 5 of them died, and 2 ended up in a coma. My dad was in a coma for 9 months. Turned out they had acquired encephalitis in prison, that group. And after his coma, the communist government didn't think he was of any real value. So it was ironically right around the time of the Mayoral boat lift in 1980 or so. So he was permitted to leave with his family, which included us. A father of 4 and his wife were allowed to leave. Came to this country with nothing, partially disabled from the encephalitis, and he started to do what every immigrant does, which is to work hard and provide a better life for their children. So my dad took a job washing dishes, and my mom cleaned houses. And they said to us, and it's a lesson that I teach my kids, and one that I think every immigrant resonates with, and that is that you work hard in this country because you have to do that to excel. You have to get educated because that's important, and you have to love your adopted country, which is what we did. And then they'd always said to me, at someday in your life, you will have the opportunity to pay the debt that this great society has given you, the opportunity to have a fruitful life. And I view this as my opportunity to pay back to this great society who's given me so much. And yes, I am the antithesis of Zoran. I believe in this country. I love this country. I love what it stands for. I love capitalism. I love law and order. I think it's important for a free society to have law and order. And I utterly support the notion that this is a place. New York City is a place of hard work and grit, and you create greatness in the city. And history shows that all the great things have occurred and started in the city.
What does New York City look like
in 4 years if you win versus what it looks like in 4 years if Mamdani wins? What
That's a
happens
good,
to groceries in the store and so
yeah,
on?
that's a great question. Look, I am a believer that, first of all, I'm a believer in the concept of citizen politician, and that is the concept that our founding fathers had, and that is that you work, you live your life, you come and you serve your people in government, and then you go back. This notion of career politicians is, I think, contrary to our founding fathers. So I believe that I should apply my skills as a businessman to improve the quality of life of the citizens of the city, and I intend to do that. So if I'm mayor, three major things will happen. A number of them will happen, but three major core ones, which are really our driving agenda. The first one is we will have law and order. There's no more, releasing criminals that commit violent crimes to go and recommit those crimes. That won't happen. I'm going to hire 10,000 new police officers. We're going to be a city of law and order. There won't be the need for the National Guard here. We're going to control our own city. We're going to stop the revolving doors of justice. And whether I have to do that with the city council or the state, we will collaborate with them. But if not, I will work with the federal government to make sure that severe criminals that are violating federal laws are prosecuted under federal statutes where there's a 90% conviction rate. And these guys serve hard time. There's no 50% conviction like we see in our city. So I intend to enforce the law and make sure we have law and order in the city. We're going to bring, additionally, this issue of affordability is a real one. I think we need to address it. We need to address it in a capitalistic market-driven mindset, which has worked in this society for 250 years. And that is that the reason we have a high cost of living in New York City is because housing is expensive. And housing is expensive because we have a 1.4% vacancy rate, where the national average is 7%. And basically, to get from 1.4 to 7, we've got to increase capacity by 132,000 housing units. It's math. It's logical math. It's logical market applied economics, right? So by doing so, you effectively impact the price because now you have more supply in the marketplace. And to do that, we have a three-pronged strategy there as well. And that is there's a number of warehouse apartments, about 50,000 or so. We're going to work with the owners of those apartments to get them back into the market. There's about 95 million square feet of office space sitting empty in Midtown and throughout New York City. We're going to incentivize those owners of those buildings to convert that to housing. And we expect another 50,000 housing out of that. That's 100,000. The rest, we're going to work with developers. We're going to partner up with the city. The city owns 1,400 lots that are in residential zoned areas that are sitting empty. Let's collaborate with the builders and say, look, why don't we give you this land or sell it to you at a discount for you to develop it, or give you tax incentives for you to develop it into housing where we can house our police, our teachers, our firemen, and that new kid that's moving to New York City because he or she wants to, be on Broadway. That solves the housing problem. So we generate about 150,000 housing units, brings us back to 7%. We can do that in 2 years. It'll impact pricing. The other element of pricing that I want to do is we want to collaborate with the bodegas. The bodegas are really the heart and soul of New York City. There's about 13,000 of them in the city. If you've been to a bodega, I'm sure you know the neighborhood cat, and the nice person who works behind the counter and serves you and does it with great
And many and
service.
many are owned by immigrants, correct?
And most of them are owned by immigrants. Yeah, the majority of them are owned, and it's cycled through the years, right? Now you have the Dominicans that own a lot of the bodegas, but it's transitioning into other cultures that are just coming here and starting a life from nothing. And these people, I mean, I'm close to them. I've been honored to be supported by them and endorsed by them. These are hardworking people. They just want a fair chance. They just want a fair chance. So my plan to impact cost of living is to collaborate with them, basically have a co-op, a purchasing co-op. So this is not a government-run store like Madami wants to propose. This is effectively a buying co-op where we use their power of numbers. There's 13,000 of them to basically buy in bulk. And when you do that, you get significant discounting. And my deal to them is like, look, the city is going to finance the ability to supply the software to do this, to store this. So we're going to have to we're going to use storage facilities financed by the city. For that, you need to do one thing, and that is whatever savings you get, I want you to split with the citizens of New York City. So if you get a 30% discount on bulk purchasing using the system, give our citizens 15% discount on things like eggs and and milk and all the other things that you need to survive in the city. I think it'll work, and I think it'll impact the pricing costs, both on food and on housing. And then the third part of our strategy is artificial intelligence. I am a believer in technology. I've made my career in technology. I built 12 companies. I brought 5 of them public based on technology. I believe technology is a transformative way to both impact the city and to educate the next generation of kids that live in the city. So AI is a big impetus around that. AI is the electricity of the 1800s. And a lot of people don't know this, but electricity was first deployed in New York City, in the Upper East Side. The first grid in history was developed here. So we should be leading as a city in this technology, and there's no reason we shouldn't be. AI can solve so many problems like traffic. We can use intelligence camera to reroute the lighting system, the traffic lights, reroute the traffic so that traffic moves from congestion to less congested areas in the city. We can use AI to identify a garbage can that's overflowing with trash, so people from sanitation can go and clean that up. We can use it to do enforcement if we want to do that. We can certainly use it to identify shooters. There's AI systems that can identify a gun immediately. They can identify behavior that's erratic. This is technology that already exists. We just have to have the will to incorporate it here. And New York City should be leading in that, not only in deploying it, but also in training our people and training the next generation of young kids to know this technology, because this is, I'm telling you, electricity was in the 1800s. This is transformative. It's going to change the world. And if you're not leading, you're following. And New York City should be leading in this. Anyway, so you asked me a question of the contrast between my city view and what I see Mandami. So that's my city view. Mandami's view is quite contrary. So I think, this concept of socialism, this concept of taxing individuals greater than we're already taxed. We are the greatest tax individuals in all of America. Think about that. In this country of 300, almost 400 million people, we are the most taxed. This 8.8 million people are the most taxed people in America. We started a revolution because they were trying to tax us 3% on tea. We are taxed almost 30-40%. It's insanity. In some cases, 50%. So more taxing is only going to drive out the people that pay the taxes. And here's the other dirty little secret people don't want to talk about. The reality is 40% of our taxes is paid by 86,262 people. Think about that. 82,262 people pay 40% of our personal income taxes into this city. If those people leave, and by the way, they likely will because they have multiple houses. These are people of resources. They can live anywhere they want. And if they leave, we are in trouble. The city is in trouble. Here's the other little dilemma and the other issue that we need to address. The majority of the city revenues, besides these 40% of people that I just discussed, this 82,262 people, is paid by real estate taxes derived from commercial real estate. It's about 82%, which is kind of astronomical if you think about it. We have a vacancy rate in offices here of about 22%, 25%. So those offices are sitting empty. If, in fact, Mandami gets elected, not only will those people leave, but businesses are not going to come here. I would argue they're going to leave. So what's going to happen, because by the way, the wealthy people, when they leave, they take their jobs with them. If that happens, the vacancy rate in real estate market is going to go to a point where these owners, most of them are institutional holders, some of them are private owners, they're going to hand the keys back to the bank. And it's going to be 1970s New York again. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think law and order is out the window. This individual does not support the police. The police are leaving at a rate of 300 officers per month. We've lost so many police officers. We are at a deficit. And I know the police, I interact with police officers very frequently, and I can tell you they're exhausted. They are worked overtime. They are not respected. The prosecutors, take their job not seriously because they arrest these criminals and they let them leave before the ink is dry on the police report. We're going to have a city without law and order. We're going to have a city where the commercial real estate market, and it starts in commercial real estate, residentials thereafter, is going to collapse, where the wealthy people that pay most of the taxes in the city are going to leave. This is going to be 1970s New York again. And by the way, it took almost 15, 20 years to reverse the damage that happened in that era. We cannot allow New York City to go through that. We just can't.
Couldn't agree more. We cannot allow this to happen. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned about crime, and I think it's very interesting what you're talking about, AI being able to protect us, detect things in advance. New York City is one of the cities in America that's been most affected by international terrorism. And
Absolutely.
as a mother, as a woman, as a Jewish person, I'm frightened to death over seeing the attack on individuals in DC, in Colorado, the bombing of the governor's residence in Pennsylvania, and thinking about Mamdani, someone who has close personal family ties to terrorist organizations, someone who has praised the Intifada, globalized the Intifada, pretends he doesn't know what that means. It means murder, and is someone who clearly is sympathetic to the terrorists as opposed to fighting them. I'm wondering, what would you do, and how do you see terrorism as an issue in this campaign, and what would you do as mayor?
Well, listen, I think there's so much tension in the world. There's so much hatred against America and against our Jewish neighbors. It's really, I have to tell you, I have a lot of Jewish friends, and these are some strong people, and I have never seen fear like I see now. It's really genuine and scary. Um, we can't have a person that divides us. That's not New York. It's certainly not America. I think it's incredibly dangerous. I think we need more oversight. We need more police. We need to make sure that we're vigilant because the enemies are empowered and they feel justified with the political climate and the political justification. As irrational as that sounds, New York is the target. New York is the number one city target in America. This is a real issue. We need to be really concerned about this. And I always tell my Jewish friends, look, you guys have been here since 1654 when the first Jew came here from, what is current day Brazil. You started contributing to this great city. You started, introducing your talents and your contributions to the arts and to law and to finance and to everything that's great in the city. You ain't going anywhere. Let's figure this thing out. Let's solve this problem. Let's make sure that we think holistically and together we can solve this issue of bringing back people to the center. The reality is New York City performs best when it's a unified city, when we don't separate people based on religion or creed or where they're from. New York has 172 different cultures. We need to come back to the center. We don't need this division, and certainly we don't need this hatred against the Jewish community. They do so much for the city, and we need to protect them. And if I'm mayor, that will absolutely happen.
That's great. You've already received the endorsement from the Bodega and Small Business Group. What does an endorsement mean for you? And who else are you counting on for additional endorsements right now?
Well, yesterday we got the endorsement of the Reform Party, the Ross Perot Party, who believe that government should be honest, government shouldn't abuse people, government was there to serve the people, not the other way around, and government should be accountable to the people and be incredibly disciplined with how they use their money. We people forget this. Politicians are employed by the citizens of the place they represent. We are like no different than a CEO, and the citizens are bored. They can fire us at any time, and we have a fiduciary duty to do what is right for them and to them. And I think politicians forget that. It's really astounding to me that's a situation that we find ourselves in. But look, I'm proud that the Bodega and the Supermarket Owners Association has supported me. These are hardworking people. They wake up in the morning before the sun rises, and they open their stores, they serve their community, and all they want is a fair chance at the American dream. And I think, look, New York has built more dreams for more people than any other city, and I think we should continue down that path. And it is my role and my opportunity and my hope that I can, hang my business hat for a few years and do something great for the city because America did so much for us. I have a great life. I have everything I want and everything I have worked hard for because you could only achieve this in this country. We are so lucky to just be part of this great society, and we cannot let this thing go to socialism. We just can't. It is a cancer that will grow, and America will never be America again.
Wow, thank you. Well, that sounds like a great place to wrap up. We really appreciate you. We appreciate your commitment to safety, to public safety, to affordability, the right way through motivating people to build what is needed and profit from what is needed, not by limiting supply with these false prices, low prices that aren't real and can't be sustained. And
I completely,
go ahead.
completely agree. I said I completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. There's no way we can let that happen here.
It's exciting to have a candidate like you in the race.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much for joining us.
Yes, if I may say, I am fighting a humongous machine. These people are well financed. If you believe in my story, please, and you support me, head to our website, Hernandez for NYC. We really need your support in this great battle against evil. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and we look forward to having you back in the future.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. Thank you, Laura. You guys have a great day. Thanks for the opportunity.
You too. Bye-bye.